Welcome to Off the Chalk, where we help you build competitive lineups on Fanduel. This episode is for Week 8, Sunday main slate. I'm your host, Ryan Hashay, joined by Mike, Money Team 10, who spends hours doing research so that you don't have to. Welcome to the show, Mike.
Yeah, let's
Come on,
get it
man.
started.
Can you give me
Let's
some
get
more
it started.
enthusiasm? Let's go.
Yeah,
All right.
I know. I'm sorry.
So, speaking of that enthusiasm, how did your lineups do? I know we kind of differed a little bit. I straight off the script, or maybe you did. I ended up going with Burrow as my QB. Were you also on Burrow, or you probably had a bunch of different lineups?
No, I mean I played all the guys I mentioned, and funny enough, they were the top three highest point getters for the quarterback on the week. So I mean, quarterback, I nailed it last week. It was one of those weeks where you really had to hit it on every single position because
Herbert, Burrow, and
Kyler Murray was
yeah.
Yep. Yeah, but that wasn't good enough, right? Because so much went off last week, and a lot of the popular plays too, right? So
yeah,
I mean, you had to hit everything last week. If you're off just a little bit, you had a decent day, which was kind of where I fell. But you really had to hit everything. I mean, we hit the defense. All of our guys were productive. I missed on the tight end again.
You literally said that on last show, didn't you? That you were going to miss tight end again.
I'll say it again this week too. Last week was particularly worse because, I like Justin Herbert, and I thought pairing him with Hunter Henry, there was the upside there of 2 touchdowns, and so you hit Herbert, right? He throws a bunch of touchdowns. He throws 2 touchdowns to tight ends, not named Hunter Henry. It's just it was frustrating. Parham caught one, which I like to see, and then Virgil Green, I think, had his a touchdown too, and it's really,
well, it's a good thing for us that it's a new week, and that's why we're here. So what do you feel like stands out to you in week 8?
The pure garbageness of it. That stands out. No, it's not.
I feel like you say that every week. This is a bad week. This is a really tough week.
No, I mean, last week I loved it. It's one of those weeks where I couldn't have built enough lineups to there were so many plays that I liked last week where it's I like him, I like this stack, I like that one. And this week it's I'm just having such a hard time really really being all in on either a stack or a player. I just don't have those feelings this week. It's just it'll get there. It's only Friday, but
all right.
I mean, and then there's tons of weather impact this weekend too, which is, I'm not usually worried about the weather. If it's snowing or if it's rain, I don't really care that much. But wind, I don't want to get involved too much in the passing games and in the wind. But most of the time, it's overblown anyways, and it's one of those things where Sunday night after all the guys that you liked all week that you got scared off of some stupid wind, and then they ended up going off anyways, and you're yeah, why'd I listen to a weather report? I don't know.
Just one factor, right? Not everything. All right. Well, who do you like as your number one pick, your top pick for QB? If we're gonna spend some money.
Yeah, I mean, you could spend some money on any of the top guys. I think they're all in pretty good spots. I mean, Patrick Mahomes, you worry about just getting too far ahead of the Jets and the Jets not being able to keep it a game. But I mean, Mahomes could easily get there in one half of football. So I like Mahomes. I like Russell Wilson every week, and Aaron Rodgers. I mean, he's playing in one of those games that could be impacted by the wind. Lamar's, in that it's Lamar's in a competitive game against Pittsburgh that I mean, you could see Lamar of last year show up this week, and that wouldn't surprise me at all. But really, what I'm gonna for my top guy again this week, $7,700, Justin Herbert. I'm just gonna keep playing him. I think in the last 3 games he's had at least 3 touchdown passes. In one game, I think he had 4. But I think they're going to score points against Denver this week, and I don't think they're going to do it on the ground. Denver's, pretty hard to run the ball against. So I'm going Justin Herbert again for $7,700. That's my top quarterback of the week.
I mean, I feel like he worked out pretty good last week. Hopefully,
yeah,
he keeps it that way.
Yeah, he's got that added rushing bonus too, where he could do it with his legs too. You saw it last week, so I think he's in another great spot again this week.
All right. What about middle of the road? I mean, Justin Herbert is price wise already we're already on our way to middle of the road value.
Yeah, I kind of felt that way too, and so I mean, there's a bunch of guys like Joe Burrow. I mean, he's only $100 less. I think he's gonna be pretty popular this week, but I mean, I don't know. Joe Burrow, he's gonna be without his starting left tackle, his starting right tackle, and his center this week on an offensive line that was already not very good. So they love to throw the ball. They don't have Joe Mixon again this week, so they're gonna be throwing. So he's a tough call, right? Does he get there? Who knows? Ryan Tannehill, he's going to have quite a bit of ownership too. But for me, I'm going to take a shot at Derek Carr for $7,300. That's my middle of the road quarterback this week. Okay. Listen, I liked them a lot more at the beginning of the week when they weren't talking about this 25 to 30 mile an hour wind in Cleveland and gusts up to 40. I'm going to wait to see on Sunday to see, what's going on with the weather there. But I just think he's in a good spot to put up at least, 20, 23 points. And, he's got some correlations, some stacks that you could put with Derek Carr that I really like this week too. So he's in a game I like. So, yeah, Derek Carr for $7,300.
Okay, that's our middle of the road pick. All right, value time.
All right.
My favorite time.
I know. All right, and this one's really gross too. Like it doesn't even feel right. For $6,600, I like Jimmy Garoppolo this week, and it's not going to be pretty, right? But he's playing the Seattle Seahawks. I think he can get there. He's not going to do it with his legs, and once again, this is a game I really like stacking. So I feel like I can get Jimmy Garoppolo. I can get some pieces around him, whether it's Kittle or Ayaku. And then I also like the other side of it too, right? Like that game stack. I love Seattle. So for $6,600, you're saving quite a bit of money at the quarterback, and you can start getting some lineups that you really like. And I think, like, when you're looking at his game logs, like, if you look at last week, he didn't have to throw the ball. They completely dominated New England on the ground. He did okay against the Rams. Tough defense. The Miami one was weird. Like, I have no idea how Miami just whipped the 49ers so easily. But, the Jets, Arizona, I think this is going to be a game that they could be trailing. And much like Kyler Murray last week, I just think he potentially gets there on just the volume of plays, and it's one of the slower paced games, but I still like Jimmy G this week.
Sounds good. So we're saving some money on quarterbacks this week 8, because that's 3 options that are not breaking the bank. I like it.
Yep. Well,
so who do we want to throw on this lineup, or do we want to come back to this? Do we want to come back to it when you talk about?
Go ahead. You could pick the quarterback this week.
Okay. Aaron Rodgers. No. Just kidding.
Nah, you do whatever.
No, I'm going Herbert. Let's go.
All
I
right.
like him. Okay, let's move on to running backs.
Yeah. So listen, I don't want to sit here and say like, oh, Derrick Henry and Alvin Kamara. Like, obviously, I know they're really good plays. You know they're really good plays. I'm not going to waste too much time. Derrick
Yeah.
Henry and Alvin Kamara can always do it, right? And I think Dalvin Cook is going to be under-owned this week. And you got to watch his questionable status, but I'm pretty sure he's going to be playing. But I mean, he's right in the middle of these two guys. I think he'll be less owned than both of them. So
Are
if
you
you
trying
wanted
to
to go that way, I could.
Are you trying to say that you like these guys are kind of sharing the top pick? Like you could
Henry
go
and
either
Kamara.
way on your high dollar pick, or do you have a different guy in mind for your top pick?
No, my high dollar pick is not any of these guys. I'm just trying to.
Okay.
If
So
it would feel right.
kind of
So
like the QBs, we're staying away from the top dogs here.
yep. So my number one running back this week is Kareem Hunt for $8,200. Um, you know, it was my top, my favorite play last week. I loved him against Cincinnati last week, but I think he does it this week for sure. Like he's got a better matchup this week. They're in that game that's got wind. Like he played, I think he was on the field for 92% of the plays last week. So he's getting opportunities. He's always on the field. He catches the ball. He runs the ball for $8,200. I'm Kareem Hunt's going to be my number one guy this week.
Yeah. Number one running back, or are we ringing the bell on Kareem 2 weeks in a row? What? Or
What's
are we
the
number
bell
one
again?
running back? What's the bell? Just Mike's number one pick overall. Is he
What?
getting the bell?
Yeah, I don't
Is he
know.
getting the bell again?
No,
Or is he just number one running back?
no, he's my number one running back this week.
Okay. So let's talk about middle of the road then.
I'm $7,300. I like Jonathan Taylor. It's one of these guys that I just feel like I'm already so invested in this year. Like I've paid, he's been on my lineups more times than not. And when you feel like that invested into a player, and you know that he's going to have a big game at some point, you just don't want to miss it. So I think he's in, a good game this week. Coming off the bye week, their offensive line's healthy. I feel like they should come out and push Detroit around. And Jonathan Taylor for $7,300, I think he gets over 100 yards and at least a touchdown. So that's my middle of the road running back this week.
Okay. I like it. Value time.
Once again, I think Fanduel did a really good job with pricing this week. Like Jamal Williams is going to play again as Aaron Jones isn't going to play, but they priced Jamal Williams up to $7,000. He's not, that free square this week. So good job by Fanduel. Melvin Gordon, everybody likes revenge game narratives. So, when you go back and face your former teams that you spent the majority of your career with, and you face them again from the opposing team, they call it revenge games. And so Melvin Gordon's got one this week. Used to play for the Chargers. I can make an argument like Robinson. I don't know if you watched. Well, you did. Did you like James Robinson? Like ran all over the Chargers last week. So, Melvin Gordon's pretty sneaky. But my value play of the week this week is for $5,900. I like Gio Bernard again. I'm gonna.
I mean,
Go
he
with
got
Gio.
it done last week, right? You ended
Yeah,
up slipping
Joe.
him on there. I went the other direction with
Yeah, AJ Dillon,
AJ Dillon, which was a flop.
Yeah.
But Gio
Yeah.
Bernard got it done. I don't know why I didn't go Gio Bernard when I made the comment about that mustache. A guy with that mustache gets it done, and I didn't take my own advice.
Yeah, the good thing about Gio is he's never going to be game scripted out of the game, right? He plays when they're winning. He plays when they're losing. He's just one of those guys that he's always going to be on the field. And Joe Mixon's out, so Gio Bernard for $5,900.
I'm locking him in. He's getting
There you
on
go.
there one way or another this time. All right. You want to pick the other one? Or do you want to come back to it? Who do you want Kareem Hunt?
I'll throw Kareem Hunt. Yeah, go Kareem Hunt.
Okay. Receivers. Who's your big dog?
All right. So I guess I would say, he's not my actual big dog, but Devontae Adams for $9,100. I mean, he does amazing against the Vikings every time he plays them. They played each other week 1. He had, I think, 14 for 156 and 2 touchdowns, and it actually should have been 3 touchdowns. He dropped a 4th down pass from the 2-yard line that he should have caught that he just dropped. And so he had a huge game against him the first time around. Before that, actually since 2018, in 5 games against the Vikings, Devontae Adams has either had over 100 yards or a touchdown. So every time he plays the Vikings, he does well. They play that zone quite a bit with Adams, and they just don't have the corners. And they got corners that are injured this week too. So they don't have the guys that can cover Adams. They never seem to have a plan to cover Adams. So, I mean, for $9,100, he's got to be, if you can afford him, he's got to be your number 1 receiver.
All right. So you
he's coming off that
top?
Yeah, I mean, he's in one of those weather games with wind, but I still don't think that bothers me. I'm not going to be able to afford him in every lineup. That's the problem this week. But, for $9,100, he's got such a high ceiling and a low, like his floor is pretty high too. I just think that it sucks that he's coming off such a huge week because it feels like you're chasing a little bit, but I like Devontae Adams and Aaron Rodgers this week.
All right.
So I'm going to give one more expensive receiver just because he killed me last week. So DK Metcalf, I love him. I'm going to go back to him this week. I was, really close with the 8 o'clock game approaching last week. I was super close to switching off some of my DK and going to Tyler Lockett. And, I ultimately decided to stay with DK Metcalf last week and ended up costing me probably some good coin. But I don't know. I'm going back to him again. I have no idea what happened last week. I mean, 20 targets to Tyler Lockett and I think 5 targets to DK Metcalf is just absurd. And I just can't see it happen 2 weeks in a row. It's looking like Tyler Lockett's going to be pretty popular again this week. So I'm going to be making quite a bit of lineups with DK Metcalf.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like my 2 top guys.
After that absolute RoboCop, who did he hunt down and tackle right before the end zone after running like 100 yards?
Yeah, Budda Baker, the safety from Arizona Cardinals. I mean, that was the craziest play. I couldn't believe it. I don't understand how even after a play like that, they don't go out and try to get him involved a little more. Like,
yeah,
I don't know. It didn't make sense. It's like I don't understand how you could not throw the ball to that guy more. And I think
like
Tyler Lockett's a really good football player, but to throw the ball 20 times to Lockett, and I mean, I guess it was working, but they didn't win the football game. I feel like you got to get Metcalf more involved. And I feel like he will be this week in a game that I like. So I like both those top guys, Metcalf and Adams.
Okay.
So my middle of the road this week is Keenan Allen, $7,400. I love him again. So I'm going to pair him with Herbert quite a bit this week. He just gets so many targets. Like he's up there in Devontae Adams level of targets. If you click on his game log, like I think he's had oh, they're doing that with the targets again. I mean, he's
Yeah.
up there every game. Herbert's throwing the ball. And I like he didn't have a touchdown last week. I feel like he's gonna have a couple this week. I feel like Allen is my favorite play of the week for sure.
Yeah, just for those who don't know that are watching, this is not actually the right number. It's just slow to update.
Well, they could. He's got 10 catches. They had to throw him
Yeah.
the ball.
Yeah, he has at least 10 targets.
Pretty sure everybody can figure that out. Dang.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if you're building a Herbert lineup, you got to throw Keenan Allen in the lineup. You want to have some kind of stacks here, and I think Herbert to Keenan Allen is a good stack.
So let's throw him in now.
Yep.
Okay.
So my value play this week, who might not fit this lineup. I mean, you could certainly do a one-off if you're not going to stack the San Francisco-Seattle game. But my favorite is for $5,900. I like Brandon Ayuk. No Deebo Samuel this week. He's up there for $5,900. Brandon Ayuk. He's he's going to be involved. He's going to get some rushes, I think, without Deebo Samuel there. He's going to get targets. They're going to be playing from behind, I think. I love building lineups where I'm pairing Jimmy Garoppolo and Brandon Ayuk, and you can throw Kittle in there. So I'm really finding him on a lot of my rosters this week. So for $5,900, Brandon Ayuk is my value play at the wide receiver spot. But there's a ton of plays down here. It really just depends on the quarterbacks. I mean, if you like Derek Carr, you can go Henry Ruggs is $5,700. I think Nelson Aguilar is even cheaper. So it's all about building those stacks with your quarterbacks, and so we're using Herbert. So I like having Keenan Allen with him, but Brandon Ayuk goes good with Garoppolo and Kittle, and there's a ton of things you can do this week, even if it's not, if you don't like it as much as last week's. We're lining up.
Okay, so we'll come back to wide receivers then to fill off this stack.
Sure.
Then. Okay, we'll just talk about your favorite category, tight end.
No, honestly, I think you should pick the tight ends this week. I really do. I have been so bad with tight ends. I mean, I like George Kittle, so if you can afford $7,700, I like pairing him when you got the Jimmy Garoppolo as your quarterback. I like Waller if you're going with Carr. If you keep going down, Trey Burton's in a pretty good spot this week. Noah Fant, I think, would be good for this lineup here to kind of have that bring back on the other side for Denver. But if you look, they got another tight end. I can't pronounce his name. He's like 40. He's 4,700, 4,800. Keep going. There he is, Albert.
Albert.
He's been getting targets every week. He's involved in the game. I think he went to high school or college with Locke, the quarterback. He's involved every week lately, and that's when Noah Fant's playing too. So, I kind of like him for $4,700 to save some cash on this lineup.
Let's go. So he would be considered a value pick?
Yeah, $4,700 at the tight end spot's a value pick. You like having the bring back on the other side of your Herbert and Keenan Allen stack. I can't pick tight ends for the life of me. So,
so I guess
like I'm saying,
try and find some value that goes with your lineup out of some of those guys that were shouted out.
Sure.
Okay. Do we want to talk defense before we kind of complete this lineup?
Sure. Um, I think KC's in a good spot. Obviously, anybody that plays the Chiefs are in a good spot. Um, I like the Rams going against Tua in his first ever NFL game. You got to like a defense that plays well, that does some things, schematically that is going to throw the rookie for some loops. Um, I think Tennessee's, like I mentioned earlier, Cincinnati is without three of their starting offensive linemen, and their offensive line was not good to begin with, so I can make a case for Tennessee. But as somebody that doesn't like to spend up on defenses, I'm probably going to play the New Orleans Saints for, I think they're $3,700 this week, 3,600 for the Saints.
Yeah.
They're playing Nick Foles, Chicago. It's looking like Chicago might not have Allen Robinson at wide receiver, their best player. So um, Montgomery's not going to run the ball very well against the Saints. So there's potential for some interception returns, some turnovers. I like the Saints for $3,600.
Well, let's lock them in. Okay. So now help me complete this story to this lineup. Or do we have much more story that really matters to this lineup?
Well, I mean, it's not a huge game stack that you have, right? You've got like the mini stack between Herbert and Keenan Allen, and you got, coming back the other way, you got the tight end from Denver. I mean, you can finish it with some one-offs or some like mini correlation plays. So, is there anybody on Tennessee that rings a bell for you that you kind of want to stack them with Gio? Or is there anybody on the Raiders that you'd like to bring back the other way against Kareem Hunt? Like, I like looking for little mini correlations like that, or I just try to get in a couple more plays that I really like.
Okay.
So, like, honestly, like asking you, like, do you want to try to play some Raiders or some Titans, or do you just want to? Is there some players that you like that you want to try to get in there?
I'm a huge Metcalf fan, but he's well, I guess he's not too crazy expensive. We got 7,500 left. Does that go
Oh, why
against
don't you
my
play?
game script
No,
at
why
all?
don't you play Mech? You could play Metcalf and Ayuk. Do like a
Okay.
little mini correlation there against Seattle and San Francisco. So 5,900 for Ayuk, and then maybe you can get King Henry or Alvin Kamara. Not that high. I mean, there's good plays up there. Tyreek Hill's never a bad play. Kelsey, don't love Jacobs. Keep going.
Do we think that
Yeah,
this
there's
game is going to have a lot of throwing going on? I mean,
for a
if the
little. I
game
get some
for a
19
little bit, I
points.
guess. Yeah, until the game
Yeah,
potentially gets out of control. I don't know.
yeah. Like you can do a ton here. You can kind of just put somebody in and then monitor it. Like there's a bunch of plays I like right here. Kittle, get invested more in the Seattle and San Fran game. And nobody likes playing tight ends in the flex. So you're being a little different, which is always a good thing.
Yeah,
Just something about people when
let's do
they
it.
view him as a tight end. Yeah,
I like Kittle. That leaves only
yeah, I think it's good.
1,100 on the table.
Yeah, well, you could probably even get back up to Noah Fant if you can change Albert and maybe play a little safer play in Noah Fant.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a good lineup, man.
All right. $100 left. let's pull the trigger.
Keep it for a rainy day.
Yep. I'll let you know whether I change anything on the next show. And if you want to see that next show, don't forget to subscribe. Click that like button for us. That really helps us out. And hit the bell icon as well. So that'll make sure that subscription lets you know first when we go back live. Good luck, guys.